Running a learning business today requires attention to growing reach, generating revenue, and demonstrating real impact, all while navigating constant change and fierce competition for learners' time and money.
To help, we've curated a collection of free resources for learning business professionals. You'll find frameworks, briefings, and reports, webinars, and tools focused on strategy, portfolio design, pricing, marketing, and more, all created specifically for organizations that sell continuing education and professional development.
If you care about building a stronger, more sustainable learning business, visit leadinglearning.com/free resources.
That's leadinglearning.com/free resources for practical tools and strategic insight to help you grow your reach, revenue, and impact.
If you want to grow the reach, revenue, and impact of your learning business, you're in the right place. I'm Celisa Steele.
I'm Jeff Cobb, and this is the Leading Learning Podcast. Associations are among the most powerful forces in workforce development and professional advancement in the U.S., but almost no one outside the association world grasps the scope of that impact, and sometimes not even those in the association world.
Our guest for this episode, number 484, is Artesha Moore, CEO of Association Forum. Artesha has spent nearly 3 decades in association management and the nonprofit space.
Artesha makes the case that we're at an inflection point that's different from the disruptions associations have faced before because it's not one force at a time. AI, workforce displacement, shifting federal funding, and declining university pipelines are all hitting simultaneously.
You and Artesha also discuss the gap between what associations do and how they're perceived. Why a university president gets quoted in mainstream media on workforce development, but association CEOs rarely do, and what it would take to change that.
And Artesha offers direct, practical advice for association leaders, how to use imagination and a willingness to fail as strategic tools.
The conversation kicks off with Artesha introducing herself.
I'm Artesha Moore. I am the CEO of Association Forum, but if I could introduce myself in any words, it would be, I am a beautiful hip-hop Buddhist Jedi. And what does that mean? I look at the world from a beautiful rhythmic realness. I've been in association management and nonprofit space for about 3 decades at this point. And as I age, I get more centered and present in the Buddhist sense. And the Jedi part is because I'm a sci-fi girly that's a technologist, and thinking about how technology, sci-fi, and science fiction have really become the reality of what we're living right now. So for a person who has helped in my career move people forward through learning, I'm excited to be here today and to hash it out with you, Jeff, because when we met, it was electric.
Indeed, it was. You are definitely the first hip-hop Buddhist Jedi that we have had on the podcast. So looking forward to that conversation. You and I have spoken before. We've been in a very engaging discussion before, which I'll give props to Mark Jones at Learn Upon for pulling us together on. And we were talking about where associations are in general, but also where they are with education, since that tends to be such an important part of what associations do. And one of your comments was that we're really at an inflection point right now, that we've seen a fundamental shift, and that this moment is really maybe a little bit different from the changes that we've experienced before. Associations obviously have experienced changes before, but what's different now from your standpoint?
I think there's a lot of things that are coming in that are different. So it isn't just new advanced technology. It's a new way of looking at industry, I think. When you look back at matriculation rates from 2017 and 2018, the new folks going into university, lower numbers. The new folks coming out of university aren't prepared for the workforce in the same way traditionally that they were about 10 years ago. Right? So when we look at that, and then the changes of, I think, funding mechanisms. So I've spent most of my career in STEM. The number one funder of STEM in the United States is the government. As the government is trying to settle its kind of dust up, what does that look like for the impact of all of these industries, right? So when I say an inflection point that we haven't seen before, I think it's just the acceleration of all of these factors at one time. We've seen them all happen, right? But all of them coming at one time under this umbrella of just collective uncertainty. You're hearing a lot of headlines. Careers are going to go away, 30% workforce replaced in 18 months, all of these headlines. That uncertainty also adds a new element, I think, that makes it really hard to navigate strategy.
And from your viewpoint, like you said, so many things are converging right now. Associations do have a role to play in this, obviously. In fact, I think there's an incredible opportunity for them to play a role in this right now. But in my experience, associations are very focused on the individual member, what members are asking for, that individual member engagement. That's kind of the holy grail for everybody. But when we're seeing such wide change and shift happen, do associations have a broader responsibility than that? I mean, what's the responsibility to the profession or to the industry or to society in what we're seeing right now?
I sit on maybe a little bit of a different side of this. The member value is important. And as a membership organization, I definitely lean into that. But I'm a mission-based person. What is the mission? And what was that intent of the mission to do? And many associations, not just the ones I work for, but sat in rooms with it, their mission does not say maintain member value. Their mission is big. Mission, like for me, my mission at Association Forum, our mission is to advance the practice of association management. So where the practice goes, but I think also the opportunity and the need for associations around their mission, it's future forward, right? It's about the future. So you do need to assess the members, but I think about it in that kind of old Henry Ford quote, are we getting a faster horse, right? They're going to tell you about their pain today. I need the website to work, or I need whatever those kind of issues are. But associations traditionally represent the top tier of a profession. There's a whole middle tier that isn't represented there, that is the profession. So when you start to have these futuristic, or I would say, dare I say, present conversations, it's important, I think, for us to read the tea leaves in the future and push the profession towards advancing, I think, like you said, societal things. Being able to be an incubator for maybe non-traditional thought that will change the world. That's the opportunity that associations have.
How does that practically connect in your mind? I mean, does that mean more connection to employers? You mentioned workforce and workforce development earlier. What role should associations be playing there from your perspective?
I think it's important to connect with the employers, because if we're a professional society advancing the practice, most association dues are paid by the employer or the funder. So again, when I mentioned the federal government, right, the funder is paying for the dues, the scientific review of the publications, kind of all of those things. What happens in some aspect, like I mentioned before about the pain points of members, some of the pain points of members, let's just be frankly honest, is the employer. However, I recently heard a podcast interview with Scott Galloway, and one of the things that he said that was very interesting was the amount of GDP in the United States that's spent on reinvestment in skill development. We spend less than 0.5%, whereas other Western nations spend 1 to 2%. When you think about that number and what's needed around that and this continuous reimagining of work, associations fit right in there. But if you're not understanding what the employer is actually looking for, so for instance, we talk about professional development networking because it's a people connection thing. Come in and get professional development. Come in and network. To what end? There was an article in Harvard Business Review in 2018, and the headlines was about employees. And it said employees care about three things: community, career, and cause. And I stole that and said, well, members care about that too. Community, but for what end? Career and cause. So your mission is the cause. I was with a healthcare group in the 2010s for 13 years, and it was about infection prevention. And our underlying mission was a world without infections. Big cause. Get down with that. Yes, I'm a technologist and I'm doing that, but big cause. The community that we created were able to do things like help stamp out the Ebola outbreak that came in 2008. As we look at this kind of career element, how do we translate what we do in advancement of career? Some parts are there, the leadership. Yes, you can speak and present and those things. But as we are in this inflection point, I think our opportunity is to partner with employers to ramp up the skills development so that the next generation of workforce can solve the next generation of problems.
Running a learning business today requires attention to growing reach, generating revenue, and demonstrating real impact, all while navigating constant change and fierce competition for learners' time and money.
To help, we've curated a collection of free resources for learning business professionals. You'll find frameworks, briefings, and reports, webinars, and tools focused on strategy, portfolio design, pricing, marketing, and more, all created specifically for organizations that sell continuing education and professional development.
If you care about building a stronger, more sustainable learning business, visit leadinglearning.com/free resources.
That's leadinglearning.com/free resources for practical tools and strategic insight to help you grow your reach, revenue, and impact. I'm interested in how well you feel associations are doing what you just described right now, and maybe just as importantly, how well they're perceived at doing, or how their role is perceived in this shift that we're talking about, helping to support professions, helping to support workforce, helping to take us into the future. And part of why I raise this, and I've raised this with a number of association CEOs, is you hear a lot about lifelong learning now. You hear a lot about workforce development, the need to be flexible and agile, and what's going to take us into the future. And when I read the New York Times, I read The Economist, and I look at they're going to people out there in the world to talk about this, they'll quote a university president. They'll go to somebody in the corporate world. I don't see association CEOs quoted much in that context, and I'm not really sure that the role that associations can play, and to a large extent do play, in helping leading us forward is actually recognized. I mean, do you perceive that gap at all? And
Absolutely. It's like ding, 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 you win. That's it. And you said it beautifully, because it's two different questions. How well are associations doing? Wonderful. We are an industry that's almost 2 centuries old. We're doing it beautifully, even today. We're leaning in and able to lean into communities that industry and university can't tap into because of our nonprofit umbrella of support and kind of workforce development, all those things. So associations, there's some many groups out there that are doing, I would say, groundbreaking levels of engagement, ways to roll up new ways of connection and learning that are changing skills, right? And being able to have that impact. Does anybody know about it? Nope. We are the most unknown, powerful group of individuals in the workforce right now. We have a collective knowledge of strategic learning, engagement, and advancement in workforce, as well as the thing that we do very well as an industry is advocacy. Insert any industry, umbrella all industries, right? But My mom still doesn't know. I just told you my whole hip hop Buddhist Jedi. And my mom's like, so what do you do again? I changed the world, mom. But, I think that we could use some of the advertising arc to say the value, not just of what the association does, but how it has and continues to empower the workforce if they know about us.
Right, right. It does seem like part of this is just a baseline communications issue. Like the word needs to be gotten out more. I wonder too, though, to loop back to, we were talking about employers and connection to the employment market before. I feel like a lot of times the employers in a profession or industry don't necessarily see the role that the association is playing or could play. And like sort of a practical, tactical example of that, and this I won't say puts the blame on, but it points to the associations themselves. Like organizations will put out all these credentials and certificates and all sorts of things that they're awarding to the people who take their education, but the employers maybe don't even know about it and maybe don't care about it if they do know about it. Like there's not that tight connection that needs to be there between we're creating this value, here's how it translates into what you are doing as a business in this field or industry or sector that you're in. What's your take on that?
It's a blurred line because even within our industry, there's like the fracture. So there's the individual professional societies, and then there's the trade. And the trades are where the corporations are. But when you go and kind of look at the blurred, they don't participate in the same circles as the professional society CEOs. Very little overlap. So that direct translation is happening at the trade. The corporations understand the value of a trade association, period, point blank. They understand it. They lean into it. They see value. They get things like Chatham House rule conversations to get ahead of various trends. They get to use their collective voice to say, this is the certificate that we're going to honor at the employer level and push forward with that. What happens is that the professional society tends to be the purist, the scientist, the research. And I'm not saying scientific, any SHRM, right? SHRM's more of a corporation, but there's a healthcare association that's very focusedly inward. They're doing the society representation of the people, empowering the people. There's not always a direct connection when you leave that to say, give this to your boss to tell them what you learned. But also for me, I think I've been in rooms where they've talked about the need for a credential. It really is almost insular. We think that this is important, so we will do it without bringing in the boots on the ground, without bringing in the non-people who are doing it. So I started my career as a secretary. I was not even a secretary, I was a receptionist. Thank you very much. And I was an administrative assistant. As you look at those people, I was the one who knew probably more about what was going on in our nonprofit, but nobody courted me to be in the membership because my title was receptionist. And leadership development means that you have to have this, 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 and this. We're missing out on that opportunity. And my employer didn't know about it because we were in this other ilk that wasn't the purist. So I think there's an opportunity, and we need to get it together right now fast because universities are also in an inflection point. Employers, when I was with the American Geophysical Union, I sat on a group of workforce development that was talking about this bridge between academia, university, industry. And what industry was saying was these folks come out great scientists, but they don't have the professional skills, how to do a budget, how to manage a team, how to do such and such. Well, hey, that's where we are. Associations help with that kind of skill development. Well, universities are like, hey, we could do that too. We can have professional development right from the university where you graduated from and cut out the middleman, us. So I think that there's an opportunity here, but it's been a division for decades. And there's new players in the tech bros. We haven't even talked about them, how they're rolling out learning, free, good, usable, recognized by employers because of their name, not university, not association.
Things are shifting fast. Associations are doing great things, but I mean, we've really got to evolve. There needs to be some innovation, particularly when you think about how people are learning now, what that looks like. But there is a lot in associations that can slow things down, maybe be a barrier to innovation. You think about how boards and committees and subject matter experts have traditionally worked. We're still very much embedded in the let's have an annual conference, let's have breakout sessions type model. What's it going to take to change that, do you think, for associations to really be able to evolve rapidly into this future that we're talking about?
That's a lot of big unpacking there.
If you got the question, you'll be able to make $1 million.
Baby, I'm trying to tell you. As I think about that, let me attack it from some different angles. Number one, governance is something that we absolutely need to modernize. Volunteer management, governance at the big broad level, still is about, at the root of it, not the skills in order to lead and drive change, but really, I put my hand up and I know everything about the association because I've served at all these levels. Let me go to the board. So, as many associations are getting more sophisticated about leadership competencies to lead, not just, I know Jeff. Jeff's my boy. Let me go ahead and get him on the committee so we can do such and such. So, competency development. Then I do think that, and people lean too much on the pandemic around some of the pieces, not around innovation, but we needed a desperate energy to survive. Meetings were grounded, right? Like various things. But what we did see was an innovative spirit that came forward. What is hard is the monetization of it. So professional societies are not rich. There are some rich ones, and shout out to y'all. I see y'all. There are some rich ones, right, that have war chests, that have endowments, that have investments, that have property, land, those things. The majority of us are small, less than $5 million, less than 10 staff. So when you start to look at the need to innovate, you have to have a board that will say, let's move. Let's have a direction. Let's be willing to fail. And let's put a little bit of our money into the future. That's almost a luxury when you have to pay the rent, when you have to upskill your own staff, and when you're competing with a startup that could go to market in 8 months. As a membership that also is competing with you because they don't have overhead. They don't have a board. So I think right now there's a lot of opportunity because of, frankly, the dollars. The money is different. So as the economy goes up and down and up and down and up and down, the reality for us that do live events, it costs big bank. Coffee, woo! Okay, I love coffee. I live on coffee, honey. One of my first jobs was at Starbucks. I live on coffee, okay? It costs. And the convention centers understand that. The getting your materials there cost. Getting your people there cost. So are there opportunities to have a different way to do it? Yeah. But here's what I know, Buddhist Park coming in now. You and I shared an energy together on a stage in real life with people, felt different. I love this. This is fantastic because we can share our ideas. But I said more yes because I just wanted to keep our energy going. I love technology. And again, everybody get at me in the comments to talk about the sci-fi stuff because this summer is going to be fantastic. It's for us, okay? We're going to the movies. But it doesn't have the same cachet. I'm still learning in this. But now I get to feel that you're a real person too and share that energy. So, but it's a luxury. Not everybody has the opportunity to do that, especially when you're trying to find something new. So we have to. But how we go about doing that, what we go about doing with it, what that kind of looks like, it's going to be a lot of failure first. And we're not good as an industry with that because our boards are not comfortable with that.
Right. Now, this might be a door back to, I said I wanted to come back to academia, universities. corporate. What role do you feel partnerships could potentially play in this? I mean, you said this is an inflection point for universities, but they've also got a lot of issues too. And there are the dollar factors in there. They have the same in-person, online sort of scenarios. They're wrestling with AI, and even the tech bros that are putting stuff out there, they're wrestling with these issues too. What role could partnerships play in your mind?
Huge role. Huge role. I don't see it as othered. They are just coming at it from a different angle, but the same passion around the community, passion around their product, passion around the future. So don't other them. Come on in. Let's get all together. Let's create an opportunity, I think, that really redefines mission. Are we clear about what we're trying to do? Who can help us do that? So in 2015, 16, I think, I was on a panel and I said, well, what is going to be the first association that allows an autonomously run company to be a member? That was in 26, again, sci-fi. That was in 2016. Here we are. We have absolutely an agentic workforce coming forward, but they can't be in the room because there's still associations that are worried about, and rightly so, intellectual property and how to hold on that for today. Instead of saying, maybe I will unleash this all, Project Hail Mary, yeah? Maybe I'll unleash all the knowledge that we have to do our mission in a different way and bring partners in, bring inventors in, bring legislators in, right? Like everybody in who cares about the mission of whatever that is, and then build something for the future in an incubator that may implode. Great. Now we learned some things, but we now have connection. We now have connection. I think that I've seen in my history and experience associations partnering directly with university to create curriculum. Boom, works. We could look at the arc of this and have a future where there's a Harvard and Association Forum. Yes, Harvard, come forward. Partnership that does spaceships for the future. Who knows, right? But now we're in this partnership and I see it. We partner with the Center for Creative Leadership. They have an emerging leaders program. They are an outstanding global leadership development. I could have went at it alone. We had a program that was our members doing it, but why wouldn't I go after a global brand and give my people access to tens of thousands of dollars worth of global leadership development training for a quarter of the price as a nonprofit? Could we bring in a university? We had partnerships with universities. So it isn't just how do we bring them into the profession? How do we do this? I think it's how do we solve real problems? How do we solve real things? And how do we learn from each other? Not just from corporate. I think as I look at university systems in I like history, in the United States, they've been also places where alternative thought led to global change. I think about the civil rights movement and the students and the universities that empowered them, that funded them, that did, right? And look what changed the world. So every insert, we could do that. And I think that there's an opportunity. I just read an article in MIT Tech Review, and I was arguing with the article on the plane, like, what in the world? Like, why? But it was about mirror sequencing of microbes, right? Like y'all are about to create the Terminator. I don't know, what are y'all doing? But what I wrote in the margin that inspired me was the article said that part of the reason why they were going down this doomsday path is because they didn't have interdisciplinary conversations. Boom, insert an association. That's what we need so that we don't kill ourselves because we're smart and we can use technology to do something. I'm sorry, if you don't get me and Jeff and somebody else in this room to help y'all, don't do that. But I see that those are the defined new futures. We can work together. We're all trying to, I hope, we're all trying to do good. How do we do good today and set us up for tomorrow? It isn't member survey and committee driven thing that makes it perfect and, oh, we're going to take over the world. It's not that. It just isn't.
It seems to me this is maybe the big nut to crack, or the elephant in the room, or however you want to phrase it. All of these different constituents or potential partners, universities, corporate world, have an issue to solve. And I think this traces back through employers, and it goes back to where we started around the role of associations with professions and industries and their role in society. There is about to be, and it's already starting, a huge disruption to work, to career out there because of what AI is doing and will continue to do. And you talked earlier about an autonomous company. Well, that means there are a lot of people not employed as a result of that in a field or industry. It means something is really disrupting that field or industry. People are being displaced. People are having to evolve. How do you see the role of associations in that disruption that AI is bringing and will bring? How should they be helping their people get ahead of that? How should they be helping employers navigate that? I know that's another big, hairy question I'm giving you, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
No, I love it. So in 2024, we did a skills study for Association Forum, and it was to start to attack what you just brought up. There was this wave, and that was just when OpenAI was kind of rolling into the mainstream in 2023, right? This kind of conversation. Well, what do our profession folks need in order to do their work today and in the near future? Here are these skills. Upskilling and reskilling is imperative. It's not now a theoretical, should we do it? So my parents are a beautiful product of the 70s vocational system, right? They crafts. My dad's a nurse. My mom was a stenographer, but office manager, right? They got skills. But that kind of work led my dad into the military. And overseas in Europe, where I went to high school in Germany, vocational is still today an arm of where people can displace from work, go into a vocational trade, get reskilled, go into work. That's where I think associations can play. So I've been using AI right now I have one model that's running about 9 months or so in the future, right? 100 years from now. But then I start to think about, okay, well, if I need to get a new job today, I've been doing this for 30 years. I have some kind of skill set. If there's no associations, where do I work? That helped me understand what my gaps are in skills. And then, of course, I'm a techie. I built a course for myself and taught myself some new skills. But I've been telling young people in association management, what we're not saying out loud, the loud part that's not being said, is our industry is constricting. In the 90s and early 2000s, there was this explosion in healthcare type associations. I have on purple lipstick today, so I'm going to be the Nurse Society of Purple Lipstick. We only get in purple lipstick squad, and that's it. We got an annual meeting. We giving out partnerships of this. We did this. Great. Then the economic recession in 2008. Okay, well, we'll let in blue and red because it make purple. We still gonna be going. Insert pandemic. Don't nobody even wear lipstick no more, girl. We need to close. We gonna be a part of the American Nursing Association now, and we'll be a chapter. Great. Boom. So as we start to look at this constriction, that funding thing that I mentioned in the beginning with STEM is having an impact right now. There's a constriction. All of those jobs aren't going to come back, but that's a right workforce to reimagine what they can do. Your skills, so that's that separation for me as I started to study my Eastern religion philosophies, the separation of identity from my title and my person. That's important because right now, in this inflection point, it isn't just one industry, it's all of them. Hollywood is about to ramp this way up because they just released a movie, I think it was Pete Davidson, that is all of the extras, all of the scenes, all of the things, AI. So that I didn't understand. I was like, oh, that's great advancement. I didn't understand the impact on the bodegas where they're shot in New York. I didn't understand, first of all, I didn't know what a grip was, but I didn't understand all the grips. right? I didn't understand the production people and the catering and the such and such and what. That's what do they do now? So again, they have an association. The Screen Actors Guild is an association. And so they have an association to help them get new jobs using skills in different way. That's where I think associations can help today. But you have to then say, okay, we're going to have sessions in our annual meeting that say reimagine your career and leave the profession. Nobody wants to talk about that. Don't talk about leaving the profession. Their employers won't send it. Instead, we're talking about saving human intellect. You're not your job. Your job gave you skills. If I was my job, I would still be looking for receptionist jobs instead of being senior staff at 27, right? You're not your title, and associations get out of your own way. Help your people learn what they need to advance the world.
That might be a great place to sort of bring it all together and start wrapping up that.
I'm staying forever, Jeff.
I would love to keep talking forever. We're gonna have to figure out some ways to keep continuing this conversation. But for right now, if you're an association leader, you're trying to get out of your own way because you can see there's plenty of noise, there's plenty of confusion, there's plenty of competition out there, but there's also plenty of opportunity out there. So how do you, as an association leader, really articulate your unique value to the people who are going to most benefit from that value? It goes back a little bit to what I was saying earlier, that associations aren't necessarily recognized or perceived for this very important role that they do play and can play. How do you seize that in your particular world?
I would say this is where fun play comes in with your board. I did an exercise and led a facilitation with our board a couple of years ago, and it was all around Marvel's cartoon show, What If? What if we were in an alternate universe? I used AI, ChatGPT, to come up with, I said, here's the plot. We are this, we're a $3 million organization. We focus on this, we do this. What if open it up? It gave like, you could be this, you could be this kind of business, you could be this. And then I love Shark Tank. I gave the prompts to the board and put them on teams and not take this and do it. Y'all pitch it to us like Shark Tank. Here's what it did. It stopped the conversation about membership growth and acquisition and bringing back the community and said, what could we do? We went to market these ideas. Skills became really big for us. We did a skill study. We did this. What if playing games. They pitched it. There was fun. There's all of that. But it unleashed their brain of what could be possible. Open up right now, whoever's listening, open up an AI, whatever your favorite one is, and start to say, if I had nothing, what could I be? Don't give it a whole bunch of, well, we're this and that and this, because that just defeats the mission. Use a wide view. You don't have to build that today. Stop being so literal. Have an imagination. Then go for a walk. You know what it'll do? It'll get you thinking about something different. I stopped thinking about, I love all of my alphabets, ASAE and Association Forum and all of our PCMA. We are doing hard work as associations because we compete with LinkedIn. We're leadership development. And so LinkedIn is always like, get out of here, right? But reimagine. Imagination is key, but it got to be with the board. Can't just be with your staff, because then you create this thing that us against them. We do see things differently as staff. But if you start to imagine what you could be, that I think would be the thing that I would say. Just imagine. Don't put a lot of constraints on it. And then the other part is do something that you're going to fail at every year. Every year. Do something that you are going to fail at. And that doesn't have to be big at work. It could be at home. I'm a painter now. I'm terrible. But you know what, Bob Ross? Thank you for inspiring me, because I'm almost 50 and I started painting maybe in the last 3 years. It has unlocked what I never imagined, which was a creativity in my technical work. Use that AI to challenge what you think. I probably have at least every 3 weeks a session where I just argue with the AI. But try some new stuff. And then for those, Jeff, you're doing great work in this space. You have people on that have interesting ways of looking at things. It doesn't matter what your industry is. Innovation, especially for those at the top, innovation is what we're hired to do, but navigation is also needed. You need a direction that you're going that inspires. And then I think we make it on the other side of this thing.
That concludes my conversation with Artesha Moore of Association Forum. But stick around for the recap.
You can find show notes and a transcript for this episode at leadinglearning.com/episode 484, along with links to Association Forum and to Artesha's profile on LinkedIn. And if this episode was useful to you, we'd love it if you'd share it, whether on social media, in an email, or in a conversation.
Artesha argues that because AI, workforce disruption, federal funding shifts, and shrinking university pipelines are all converging at once, this moment is genuinely different from disruptions associations have faced before. And that changes both what they need to do and how urgently they need to do it.
Artesha is direct in saying that associations are, in her words, the most unknown, powerful group in workforce development right now. Closing that visibility gap isn't just a communications problem. It's a strategic one that requires associations to connect their work more explicitly to employer needs.
Her practical advice for leaders is to build imagination into their work and to commit to failing at something every year. The capacity to experiment is a muscle associations need for this moment.
Thanks again for listening, and see you next time on the Leading Learning Podcast.